We've all marvelled at Rory McIlroy's amazing ability to hit driver and irons like one of the best players who's ever lived. And I guess the question you ask, like I ask, is how does he do that? Does that apply to me? Will what he does help me play better golf? Or could it just be that he's superhuman? So in today's video, I'm going to show you the exact difference between Rory's driver setup and his iron setup to help you play some better golf. Remember, if you like the information in this video, hit the subscribe button and share and post a comment on today's video. I want to know, what's your favourite golf club in your golf bag down there? So let's start with some real basics to help you hit your driver and your iron way better. Ball position. You can see the ball position is pushed forward with the driver, and with the iron it's not quite as far forward. I think this is a common, well-known thing that lots of golfers do actually do. This isn't a huge problem that I see, but just remember, having that ball pushed slightly further forward is going to help with a better angle of attack and hopefully a little bit more distance. When we look at the width of Rory's stance with his iron to his driver, as we notice a difference. His width of stance with his iron is around 16 inches, where with his driver it's 22 inches. Now obviously the inches would be relevant to your height. It's more important that his driver is a considerably wider stance than his irons. The lesson here is stability with mobility and aggression, because what we tend to find is the driver's really going to be swung aggressively. There's going to be more pulls on the body, so having that driver stance that bit wider is going to prepare you for what's about to come. Really good rule of thumb here with your iron: if you were to set up to your iron where you have your insides of your 2 feet on the outside of your hips, that gives you a good kind of space for the iron to have mobility, stability and control. But with the driver, if you just give you an idea, take something like your phone out of your pocket, pop it by your right side or by your trail foot, and then move that foot to the outside of that phone. It's going to feel way wider for lots of you, and that's kind of a good benchmark for feeling the difference width between the iron going to that wider stance for the aggressive driver swing. Now, when it comes to Rory's posture with his iron and his driver, we do see some similarities, but there's definite differences in there too. The biggest one being how far away his arms are from the top of his legs with his driver compared to his iron. Much closer with the iron, with the arms hanging down from his shoulders, where with the driver his hands are a little bit more under his chin. They're slightly more pushed out in front of him, and that gap between the top end of the club and the top of his lead leg becomes bigger. And this is reflected in how much he bends forward. With his iron, Rory is bent forward 38 degrees, but with his driver, we only see 27 degrees of bending forward with his upper body. When it comes to knee flex with both clubs, they're very much the same. It's a real nice rule of thumb here. With the iron, you want to feel that you're around a fist and a thumb's width from the top end of the club, top of your legs at address. Really simple, just take your trail hand off and measure that fist and thumb. Where when it comes to the driver, you want to feel that the fist and thumb's width doesn't quite reach. There's a bit more of a gap, almost another thumb's width, like 2 thumbs. That's going to give you the difference between hands under your chin compared to with your iron, where your hands are holding much more under your shoulders. A really interesting point with Rory's setup with his iron to his driver. With his iron, his lie of the club at address. So with the iron, it's 4 degrees toed up. The toe of the club is slightly in the air from the heel. With the driver, it's considerably more. At address, he's 13-degree toed up with his driver. And this is a common issue where you see amateurs feel like they should put the driver flat on the floor. This encourages different holds, different setups, different body movements, often in a very negative way. Also, when it comes to shaft lean at setup is super interesting. Their hand position with the driver to the iron for Rory McIlroy is very similar around his lead thigh. It's the ball position that changes, giving one a slight positive shaft lean and giving the driver the negative slight shaft lean. So with those basics in place, let's get into some of the real nitty-gritty. That's going to allow you to hit some great shots. When it comes to alignment and aim, this is something amateurs absolutely fixate about. And the idea of getting your shoulders, your hips, your knees, your feet all parallel like train tracks to the ball to target line, where that offers some truth and some help to some golfers, what we notice from the world's best, like Rory McIlroy, is they're not actually doing this. They start their aim with a bit of a rev of the engine. So with the driver and the iron, Rory is starting with a preload this way to then pull back, which makes loads of sense. He's having that kind of rev of the engine. Lots of amateurs do stand, get kind of quite locked. They're not even that good at waggling, which if you imagine waggling a bit, moving, that's like a bit of a preload. What they're doing, amateurs often are kind of sinking into the ground, getting more static and then try to start. Really affects the order everything moves in. Rory starting pelvis and upper body turn this way. Great drill to do that. You can do this with driver and iron. Just set that club forwards. Let your pelvis turn a little bit towards the grip of the club and then turn back. Feel the difference in the mobility, and then even hit a few shots with your driver and your iron. Don't be afraid where the ball goes. Just get the feel of the confidence to actually move prior to hitting. So you can even like kind of slightly open up. See, I'm just opening up to then send it back. This will teach you to be more dynamic with your swing, adding better speeds at certain times of your swing to improve strike, efficiency of movement, and power. Remember, you can also do this with the iron, same drill, just place it out in front of you. A few practice swings, so you pull back, go through, and then hit a shot. You can even hit a shot this way if you're confident. Get rid of lock setups. Let's get a bit of pre-turn in there with a counter turn. Then when we look at foot flare, we see a similar pattern with iron and driver where lead foot is turned out more than trail foot. Now, this is something that's super important and something that amateurs just don't do enough of. Now, the reason this is super important, good players are using the angles in their ankles, in their feet, to allow them to actually rotate in the way back. What we see from amateurs is often straight on feet, more this pattern actually, trail foot turned out, lead foot straight on. And they're literally kind of pushing everything almost this way and then holding up against this side, which is why they struggle to turn. What we see from better players is we see an opening up of the lead foot. We see them actually then really corkscrewing that into the ground, so their feet are moving this way in this early part of the backswing. Then on the downswing, they load into this foot and then they spin it out. They turn it. That knee goes, that foot goes. It's all enabling a good transfer of power and energy out onto that ball. It's enabling better moves with the club and better pass with the club to allow them to make straighter shots. Again, with irons and with drivers, having the right foot flare and using it. So by reducing it and increasing it, where it feels unstable and a little nerve-wracking for lots of golfers, when you do it with them, it blows their mind on how much easier it makes them to achieve the positions they want for better shots. Now, your arms don't need to be bolt straight at address. This is a common issue we see with amateur golfers where they over straighten both arms, lead and trail arm. What we see with Rory McIlroy is that his arms are comfortably straight. So with driver and iron, you can see lead and trail arm have a bend in them. So his arms are definitely not dead straight. Now remember, when you look at certain angles and on telly, arms will look straight from certain camera angles, but they won't be straight, subject to the angle of the camera and how you're using your arm. What we do see from good players is their arms are comfortably straight. Great way of feeling this, just stand naturally, like you're going to talk to someone, say in the street, just kind of with your arms down by your side, so don't cross them or do anything. And what you're going to find is your arms don't actually hang straight. They have to extend to get straight. They start with a little bit of bend, and it's about that amount of bend that you're seeing from better players. The only thing to bear in mind with the trail arm is don't be afraid to have it rotated out this way, so the crease in the middle is pointing a little bit forward. We do see lots of golfers try to get that almost inverted, which creates a bit of a mess. Getting those arms comfortably straight, so many amateurs are out here locked, trying to lock arms. It really reduces power. Club path and the club direction it swings around your body gets stuffed in some funny spots. Letting your arms fold, bend, and then get back out to comfortably straight is part of what counts for hitting good drives, good iron shots, and consistent golf shots all around. Oh, that's a boom. Remember, if you like the information in this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button up there. Also, the setup with your iron and your driver is part of the puzzle. If you want to find out the basics of a better golf swing, check this video out. It's really going to help you out.